Hi, my name is David Antonacci. I'm going to be working on special effects, makeup effects. And basically, my background really is in computer technology and networking, systems integration, but I've had a long love of various horror genres, sci-fi genres. My daughter and I were both very heavily into it and started working on those sort of things when she was younger. She had wanted to get into this. I was doing it kind of on the side, fooling around. I started out actually making teeth. Doing mouth casts and then sculpting the teeth and creating the prosthetic pieces for the mouth. But, you know, she expressed a lot of interest in it, a lot of interest in anime, manga, and that sort of thing, and, you know, having things that didn't necessarily exist in real life. Now, she actually kind of fell out of it after a while. She's more going into graphic design and advertising, but at that point I was so hooked on it, you know, that I just wanted to learn a little bit more, even if I did nothing more than just fooling around with it for myself. And between the two of us, we started working on a Dick Smith course a long time ago on, you know, just how to do some of the simpler special effects makeup, different books we've picked up, different videos and such that we purchased. And it just became kind of one of those things where going to cons, going to parties, I would either fix up one of us or both of us, or I'd have friends of ours who would come to me and say, you know, I know you do this kind of thing on the side, would you fix the whole bunch of us up? I take a little bit of everything from everybody. Some of the things that I really like to play around with is like Christian Tinsley with the prosthetic transfers. I've worked with some of his prosthetic transfer material. Some of his transfer papers and acetates I've also used. Some that I've just created myself from more or less from his specifications and recipe. Gelatin work, which was a lot of the things that Dick Smith did, at least in the early years. A lot of the garage and off-the-cuff things from Tom Savini group, you know, people like that. You know, there's just way too many names to mention, to be perfectly honest with you. Part of the thing that I was looking at doing also is I've done a lot of research into some of the artistic body sculptures, you know, basically what you would get from, say, a marble or a bronze statue or statuette or bust, but creating it from some of the products that I showed you before. Being able to capture a complete body or sections of a body and then be able to cast it in anything from a urethane to a flexible foam to an actual rigid material that we can very easily give a stone, a granite, marble, bronze effect, iron effect, and we can weather it and make it look pretty cool. So that was something I was looking to do, and it just kind of blossomed from there into creating the prosthetic pieces for, you know, anything from, you know, if I can use the terms like, you know, a Star Trek, a Star Wars, you know, things like that, where they've, you know, really taken it to the next level to create those characters that are camera ready or stage ready. My sculpting, admittedly, is mediocre at best, but my creation of the prosthetic piece from that sculpt, and then the application, the painting, you know, whatever it is that we're doing from that point forward, even if it doesn't require a prosthetic piece, if it just happens to be a makeup effect, anything from veins, you know, bulging out of skin to a weathered look or whatever that doesn't necessarily, or an aged look that doesn't really need a prosthetic but needs the makeup pieces that would work with it. So I'm always looking for people who can do some good sculpting for me and can take what's stuck in my head that won't come out of my fingertips. I can show you one that we poured. This was the poured monster clay. So this is going to look a little misshapen. It's just because it's been kind of just laying on the table for a week or two. This is, if you take a look back at what I showed you before, Tammy's face in the, our actress, in the bust that's over there, the green. This is that mold, and this is monster clay that was melted down and then poured in and sloshed around in it to create the shell. So basically this is all wax. And you can see it's very rigid. It holds up really nice. If you heat it up in your hand, it would start to move around a little bit. But they make it in a few different, you know, thicknesses or densities, if you will. So we can work with this. If we wanted to create just something that would sit on a shelf as a display piece, we could take this and we could gouge out, you know, make it look like she was zombified. But when we make the prosthetic piece to go on someone, we can't take away from their actual face, so we actually have to do is build out from it, create that prosthetic piece without distorting their face too much, and then take away what we wanted to take away in the first place. Casts out of this stuff. Okay. These will, like those pieces that are over there, Andy's face, all that, I've got access to that for about the next 12 to 14 years. So, this one, for instance. Yeah. This is body double. And this is the plaster cast that's made over it afterwards to create the rigidity and the rigid shell so that it holds its shape when we pour in whatever the media is that's going to go in there. And then it's created with a lip around it so that it locks into place. And then we know when we pour something in here, we're going to get the same thing. Yeah, but you can see if you look at this close, you're right down to the pour.
Yeah, hold it there.
It has like the opposite.
Yeah, it looks like she.
It looks like it's a positive instead of a negative.
Yeah, that's trippy. That's
Isn't
awesome.
it? I love it. So that's actually that's actually both between these two and after that. Here's the casting of her face with sculpting. This is a mold for like a slice scratch, right? And this is the piece that came out of it. So this would be positioned on the arm, tacked down, and then painted in or colored in. This is not what I would have normally used. I would have preferred translucent. And then that way I would have picked up some of the pinks and everything from underneath, and then anything would have been additional. But that's a silicone transfer, and that comes out of there. And then these are some other ones, just plain old scars, extra scars. This is something called a hurt box that I bought from one of the guys, that when you open this one up and put your silicone in here, this is a whole bunch of blisters, warts, and other stuff that's already made on one sheet. These are not water soluble, will not come off on you, will not come off of you typically. Has to be activated with 99% alcohol. These are Skin Illustrator. These are paints for various paints for doing different types of skin effects. Blood, bruise, grunge, you know, for dirts and soots and that sort of thing. It's not a water-based paint. It requires a 99% isopropyl alcohol, which you cannot find at your local grocery store. This is specialty stuff you have to get from a specialty shop, at least in our area. This would probably last me months because you don't need much of it. A little bit of this goes into that palette, loosens it up, work it around, put it on, dries. Typically not near the eyes if you can help it because of the alcohol fumes. And then of course we have some special effects contacts also, which come in handy. These are just a couple that we have laying around. I think you're gonna have to probably tilt to see those. But these would be a purple. These would purple out the eye, the iris of the eye. This would be kind of like this. And we'll have them snapped in like that. Have them with us.
Looks like some superhero shit.
I know, right?
Like it.
That's like, you know, nice and easy. Actually, I'd probably put them in the other way around.
And it's made by who?
This is Tyler Green, one of the guys who was on Face Off. Garage Monsters, man. It's how you do Garage Monster work. One of the guys on Stan Winston's school has a whole series called Garage Monsters. And everything from how to make your own tools, your own sculpting tools and stuff, how to use the world's cheapest freaking airbrushes for, you know, working with stuff you don't care about, you know, you don't want to destroy. That kind of thing. This is David Antonacci, and you've been watching Talonted Productions.